Welcome back to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you all are healthy and well. Welcome, all my new supporters. Today, I bring to you a highly requested video. A lot of people have been recommending this video right here. Really caught my attention. Today, we'll be reacting to why Americans eat what Europe bans. This right here is going to be mind-blowing. I tell you that. I be in the stores reading the ingredients and stuff. I'm like, I really do want it. And then I get to reading the ingredients. I'd be like, never mind. You know, it's just a complete turnoff. Original video link will be down below in the description. Let's jump right into this. This is one of them ones right here. Oh, this is a good video. Oh, I know it is.
It's Velveeta.
Velveeta.
Our Velveeta melts much better.
This looks like cheese, right?
I'm not a Velveeta fan, by the way. I don't eat Velveeta.
But it isn't. This syrup, no maple tree involved. And this was literally held together with wood pulp and sold to the consumer as Parmesan cheese. In the United States, you are likely eating food that's banned or tightly regulated in much of Europe.
You can't make this up.
And no one's telling you, because technically, they don't have to. In comparison to much of the European Union, there are far fewer protections on food labeling, and the ones that are there are only subject to what a reasonable consumer would believe. This was, in fact, the basis for a U.S. district judge's dismissal of a Pop-Tart lawsuit in Chicago. No reasonable consumer would believe that the filling in a Pop-Tart contained a certain amount of strawberries based on the image on the package and its use of the term strawberry. But fake foods aren't just misleading. They're all—
Man, I love Pop-Tarts. I'm sorry. Oh, the brown sugar, the strawberry. Oh, it hurts my soul to hear that, you know. It's not really that beneficial. You know, it doesn't really have that many nutrients. It's not really good for you. You know, by a certain age, I kind of got the hint. You know, I was like, kind of tastes real sweet. And all right. I want to just enjoy it. Not anymore. Not anymore, man.
Strawberry. But fake foods aren't just misleading. They're also becoming incredibly common. According to a new analysis led by researchers at Johns Hopkins, they found that more than half of the calories consumed at home by adults in the United States come from ultra-processed foods. So what is fake food exactly? And how did America become the imitation nation while Europe said no? Well, let's take a look.
Oh. You can't possibly eat the same stuff, you know, that you see throughout this video after watching this, right? I mean, this for our Americans. It's over. It's done for. We're not eating Pop-Tarts no more. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Oh, and what's next on the list? And I promise you, I'm a man of my word. I stick to it. I want to live longer. Like, you know, I'm in the stores reading the nutrients. In the back of the box, like, ooh. Now we can't eat
Fake
this.
food, or imitation food,
Hey.
is a legally defined category in the United States. It looks like food, it's sold like food, but it's chemically or structurally altered to be cheaper, longer lasting, and more marketable. Some examples?
Longer lasting? Oh. Okay. When I used to stay at my grandmother's house, you know what I'm saying? We used to eat this cheese. This cheese is sold at a very reasonable price in supermarkets, you know. And it's really helpful. I just want to say, you know, it really helps out when needed, you know. But if you have enough money to get other options, then I would suggest, you know, going for something healthier. Maybe getting slices, you know, from the deli, you know, cut personally and everything, stuff like that. But yeah, this cheese tastes good. You know, my grandmother used to put it together and everything, make it work for real. It tastes good. But I wouldn't like recommend it. Like I said, if you have enough, go for like another cheese.
cheaper, longer lasting, and
Cheese got me
more
through some times, I ain't gonna lie.
marketable. Some examples: pasteurized processed cheese product, non-dairy whipped topping, bacon bits with no bacon, wasabi from
How's it bacon bits then? How's it bacon bits with no bacon, bro?
whipped topping, bacon bits with
What is that? So what is it then?
no bacon, wasabi from chemicals, vanilla without the bean, and truffle oil that's really just canola oil with a chemical flavorant. Same with this 100% cranberry juice. 100% juice blend cranberry. It is disclosed.
Ooh. They be get me in the stores. Well, I don't drink juice, but like before, you know, when you see something like 100% juice cranberry, I'd be like, I don't know. You know, something like this looks sweet. I probably want to get something like this, but there's other brands out there that be like 100% cranberry, real cranberry, non-artificial flavoring. That's where you get me. I'm like, non-artificial. I'm in there all excited. And it don't really taste the best. It tastes watered down, but that's cool. No sugars. Good. I be getting drinks with no
100%
sugar.
juice blend
Might as
cranberry.
well drink water.
It is disclosed, but the size of the font and the blend versus cranberry seems a bit misleading, don't you think?
Yeah, they put
And
all
listen,
small, tiny.
I get it. Part of this comes down to economics. It takes over 40 gallons of maple sap just to make one jug of real maple syrup. That's why a single bottle costs over $10, and your local grocery store is flooded with a plethora of imitation syrups that don't.
Yo, I love this syrup, you know. Even before they changed the name, the original name, yo, the syrup is great. But maple syrup, I say if the country can, start a deal with something with Canada. They got the maple syrup that the world needs. Once, man. I'm telling y'all. Canada got
Store
it.
is flooded with a plethora of imitation syrups that don't have any maple sap at all. But hey, they're easier on your pocketbook. But the growing falsification of our foods means that literal tons of items on grocery store shelves and on restaurant plates are imitations of the real thing. Because the push for healthier, low-fat, low-sodium, low-sugar, and low-cost options in processed foods sounds great on paper, but it often means cutting out the very ingredients that gave our childhood favorites their nostalgia. No, really, the food of your childhood did taste different, and the legality of this practice is a bit fuzzy at best. Officially, the US does have laws on food labeling to prevent this deception on food labels. Both the Food and Drug Administration, or the FDA, and the Food Safety and Inspection Service, the FSIS, have regulations and guidance documents governing food labeling claims. But so long as there have been rules, companies have been quick to find the loophole. For example, while the US agreed to discontinue the labeling of sparkling wine as champagne in a 2006 wine trade agreement with the European Union, you can still find California champagne on store shelves today. Now, some people have pushed back on this. Lawsuits, often class action lawsuits, are brought when the label does not reflect the content of the product.
Unbelievable! I always wanted to know how you elves got the stripes on your fudge stripe cookies.
So for example, some lawsuits like fudge cookies containing no butter, whole wheat crackers made mostly of refined flour, smokehouse almonds not cooked with real smoke. You get my point. Many of the lawsuits cite the 1975 Magnuson-Moss Warranties Act, which governs warranties on consumer products at the federal level. While the act does not directly address food labeling, it can be indirectly relevant when food labeling claims are considered warranties. In one example, the Godiva chocolatier faced a class action lawsuit for deceptive labeling due to its Belgium 1926 packaging, despite the chocolate being made in the United States. The lawsuit alleged that the labeling led consumers to believe that the chocolate was made in Belgium, implying higher.
I'm gonna keep it 100. Yeah. Because, well, me, I'm always gonna look something up before I buy it, you know. But majority of the people, they go like, ooh, Belgian chocolate? Man, come on, let's buy some of that, you know. and they're gonna purchase it. They don't care. Around the United States, they selling like chocolate from Dubai and stuff. But little do they know, a lot of these people selling it, they be making it at home and putting it in like the foil wrapping and everything, like the packaging. And they getting you out your money. You're not really getting a real experience. Go to Dubai or order it from Dubai. Or some way, somehow, you could definitely get your hands on it from certain, should I say, valid websites, valid sources. Belgium, you got these people thinking they eating Belgian chocolate. and it's like discrediting the U.S. at the same time because now everybody looking at Belgium like, ooh, chocolate. Yo, their chocolate is official. It's really made in the U.S. So then it's like, oh, it's all an illusion then, because this is basically the same chocolate we getting now, right? Right? As like Hershey's, Snickers, Kit Kats, right? The same chocolate that you guys don't really enjoy when you had the experience of trying it. No. This had to be factory then. See? Let me see. I think I accidentally muted the video. I'm sorry.
The Godiva chocolatier faced a class action lawsuit for deceptive labeling due to its Belgium 1926 packaging, despite the chocolate being made in the United States.
Yeah.
The lawsuit alleged that the labeling led consumers to believe that the chocolate was made in Belgium, implying higher quality and origin.
See? Higher quality and origin. That's exactly what I said. So it's the same old chocolate that we be eating, huh? Ain't nothing different. So it's all a mind game now. Now your mind is thinking, it tastes so good. And it's coming straight from the U.S. It ain't nothing, you know? It's like your average Snickers bar. Your average Hershey's bar. What a letdown, man. Like, seriously. Get it together, bro. Like, take that down. That had me come up in there thinking there's something for Belgium.
The chocolate was made in Belgium, implying higher quality and origin. Godiva argued the label indicated the company's founding year and location, but the court sided with the consumers, leading to a $20 million settlement. But despite the picture that I've painted thus far, not all
Wait. Huh?
location, but the court sided with the consumers, leading to a $20 million settlement. But despite the picture that I've painted thus far, not all fake food is bad, and in many cases you might prefer it for your own ethical reasons, like having oat milk in your latte or a Beyond Beef patty in your burger. And fake foods have also allowed those with dietary restrictions and allergies to enjoy a much broader array of dishes, like with imitation crab, which is generally considered safe to eat during pregnancy.
No. Oh, I don't want to judge it, imitation crab, but like, listen to it. Imitation, it's fake. It kind of just like falls apart. Like, has anybody ever had imitation crab? I know what real crab tastes like. What does imitation crab taste like? You know, it's just that beginning word, imitation crab.
Like with imitation crab, which is generally considered safe to eat during pregnancy because it is typically made from cooked pollock and other ingredients that are low in mercury. But before I get too ahead of myself, I think it's important that we go back and briefly ask, how did we get here?
Mother Murphy, lucky me. My wife uses Swanson TV turkey dinners. And make your husband lucky, too.
After World War II, workers needed convenience, and food companies stepped in, offering frozen dinners, processed cheese, and powdered eggs. Shelf life became king, and flavor came from chemistry.
Powdered eggs? I know you can have liquid, but powdered? Powdered?
Stepped in, offering frozen dinners, processed cheese, and powdered eggs. Shelf life became king, and flavor came from chemistry. But we didn't go from scratch-made to science experiment overnight. Originally, those quick pre-made meals were still mostly recognizable. And perhaps the best example of this is also the most universal: cheese. Cheesemaking, which began 10,000 years ago, was originally about survival for a farm family or community, taking a very perishable protein and transforming it into something less perishable, so that there would be something to eat at a later date. Processed cheese, which was invented 107 years ago in Switzerland, is basically cheese that is emulsified and cooked, rendering it much less perishable. But also no longer a living food, because unlike natural cheese, processed cheese's flavor will no longer alter with age. But big American cheese producers, as part of our factory scale, go big or go home philosophy of food production, bought into processed cheese so heavily that the very definition of American cheese has come to be a processed product. And the most iconic of them all? Well, I may be biased, but for me, it's that blue box of Kraft macaroni and cheese.
Okay, boys, come and get it. Kraft home-cooked dinners, the quick kind you cook up fresh.
Hitting the store shelves in 1937, the box promised to feed a family of 4 for just 19 cents. And while launching a new product during the Great Depression was certainly a gamble, the product was wildly successful, selling 8 million boxes in the first year. Food rationing during World War II kept the product's popularity soaring. 2 boxes of a Kraft dinner could be purchased for 1 rationing coupon. In the 1950s, the fan favorite only had 6 ingredients, with sharp cheddar and skim milk being the most predominant. However, real cheese is also real expensive. So in the 1980s, while cheese was still a predominant but lesser ingredient, buttermilk powder was added to compensate. This still gave the nostalgic meal its creamy, cheesy taste that, as a kid in the 1990s, I loved.
Tell
However,
me about it.
fast
Like,
forward
what?
to the 2000s,
I used to tell my mom all the time, "Can you make Kraft, Mom? You make Kraft? You ain't even gotta go all out and make baked mac and cheese. Make the Kraft, please." Yeah, I'm gonna enjoy that, man. I used to love it, especially she get to add in like different cheeses and stuff and making it even more cheesier. Oh, it's so easy to satisfy me, man. Facts. You don't gotta spend all that time and make you a real baked mac and cheese. No, 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 no. That Kraft gonna do it.
both of those items have largely disappeared, while the ingredients list has gotten longer and more chemical.
Oh,
But I
know,
don't
that's
want
what
to
I be
single
thinking.
out Kraft too much here, because today our grocery store shelves are stocked with all kinds of near cheese items, from easy cheese to Velveeta, again, that type of processed cheese when it was invented in 1918, now a dairy-based processed food with 22 ingredients that is no longer regulated as cheese, but rather a pasteurized prepared cheese product. To their credit, the FDA has established SOIs, or Standards of Identity, for over 250 foods, defining their characteristics, ingredients, and sometimes production methods. For example, you can't just market yourself as a fruit jam if you don't include at least 45% fruit. And similarly, whole wheat bread must be made with 100% whole wheat flour. This again is why Velveeta was asked to not call themselves cheese any longer in the early 2000s. The homogeneous orange slime, which admittedly makes for a great queso, just really isn't cheese by the FDA's definition anymore. But while SOIs do help to thwart food fraud, they're not about preserving quality, heritage, or freshness, but rather consistency with consumer expectations. And that's where I think a trip across the pond is needed to explain this difference.
Man.
In a few other videos, I've explored and explained the EU's adoption of the precautionary principle, meaning prove it safe first. And I'll drop links to both my video on beef and chicken in the description of this video if you would like to watch more. And to a significant degree, the precautionary principle has kept many of the food additives, chemicals, and preservatives out of the food that we consume here in Europe. There's a higher burden to bear on behalf of the manufacturers that the chemicals that they're using in foods are safe before entering the market rather than discovering afterwards. And
Yeah, facts. That's what I noticed, bro. Stop always. Why is it that something has to happen in the U.S. in order to be like, okay, it's not safe anymore? I mean, a few people already died already. A few people already lost their life, or, they have sicknesses now, or they're in a hospital, they're ill. Come on. Why does it always take for something bad to happen or for somebody to lose their life? Yes, I'm not being dramatic, for somebody to lose their life in order to make changes in the US, for people to take it serious. Rather than just actually caring to begin with, because aren't the people like, like the people that make this stuff, aren't they eating it? What are they possibly eating, especially if they manufacture in a country and they work in this country? What are they eating? So they know about how all these foods are made and stuff. They still eating this? Like, nobody just cares? We need to make some changes. Start actually caring. That way, less things actually happen. We have less negative, comments towards our foods. Maybe countries would actually allow exports, of our foods within their country, getting sold in stores and everything. Kids are eating in schools, but no, no, no. Nobody want to eat that.
For entering the market rather than discovering afterwards and removing it from the store shelves.
Like, come on.
However, the presence and power of protected foods and labels is something that I don't think gets enough attention. These labels not only protect a heritage of food culture, but help consumers to more easily recognize and prefer the real deal over imitation foods. According to the European Commission, a protected designation of origin is a legal label that establishes certain requirements for labeling traditional foods and wines. The idea is that something about a place's geography and climate just simply can't be replicated, and copying the name without producing the food properly can devalue the product. So, for example, Kalamata olive oil, PDO, is entirely produced in the region of Kalamata in Greece, using olive varieties from that area.
Right.
Champagne can only come from the Champagne region of France. Feta is a traditional Greek cheese made from unpasteurized sheep or goat milk. It is not a generic name and must come from Greece if sold in the EU. Gouda cheese must come from a specific region of the Netherlands. Irish whiskey must be distilled and manufactured in Ireland. Black Forest ham from the Schwarzwald. Roquefort blue cheese from France. Bordeaux wine, Gorgonzola, Chianti. You get what I'm saying. But sadly, it is very difficult to protect these foods and their reputation from copycats once you leave the EU. And here again, cheese is a great example. In the European Union, Parmigiano Reggiano is a PDO cheese, meaning it can only be made in a specific region of Italy using traditional methods and ingredients. The cows that produce the milk can only eat grass and hay from pure pastures and cannot receive antibiotics or supplements. The cheese-making process must begin within 18 hours of milking, and the cheese can only include milk.
18 hours of milking?
Antibiotics or supplements. Hay from pure pastures and cannot receive antibiotics or supplements. The cheese-making process must begin within 18 hours of milking, and the cheese can only include milk, rennet, which is a naturally occurring complex of enzymes used to make cheese, and salt. A standard-size wheeled cheese is produced, one that hasn't changed for hundreds of years, and it must be cared for and aged for at least 1 year before it's sold. Meanwhile, in the United States, all kinds of cheeses are passed off as Parmesan. Whether you're in a restaurant or buying a pre-grated package, it could be Pecorino Romano or Gran Padano. In the worst cases, they may not even be cheese, as a particularly bad scandal revealed. Some of those canisters of cheese contained cellulose or wood pulp.
What is that? What do you mean wood pulp? Is that like the shavings from wood or something? Or am I like overthinking it? What do you mean wood pulp?
Obviously. But even if you consider foods that don't directly have a protected geographical or designation, there is still a much greater degree of emphasis and legal protection on the sourcing and quality of foods consumed. The EU has a comprehensive farm to fork strategy that aims to create fair, healthy, and environmentally friendly food systems. This strategy includes measures to combat food fraud with a focus on transparency and traceability throughout the food supply chain, including origin disclosure and labeling, requiring information about where food products come from. Every single item in the produce section of my chain grocery store lists where it comes from, and the local or regional products are highlighted. The flour for my
Nice.
cake, I can see which mill it was produced from. And all of these things taken together, the protection of foods that carry geographic and cultural heritage.
You know, they're not gonna do that in the US. And if they do, it's like really tiny on the packaging because there is a rule sometimes like you have to tell people what is in, like what the ingredients are, what is in this product. What does this food contain? You have to. And sometimes they don't always put it on the back of the ingredients part. They might, like how she's showing in the beginning of the video, label it on the side all tiny. So you gotta like do something like this. Look, you literally have to like turn it like, oh. Like the mother got no. Put it on the back with the ingredients. It's always something slick. It's always a gimmick because they know they wrong. It's not supposed to be in there. Maybe the ingredients, what I've realized with a lot of products, sometime before when that food was created in the US, it was pure, it was good, it had very minimal ingredients and stuff, maybe no food colorings or anything. And then the money started skyrocketing, and then they got greedy probably. It was like, well, let's find a way to maybe what's the word, imitate, because they got that imitation crab. That's really like killing me on the inside of my mind. Imitation crab. I can't. Anybody ever had that before? Imitation crab. I see people on TikTok. Imitation. It's just falling apart, bro. I don't know. But it's like sooner or later, those foods, they were cool, but eventually down the line in the future, see, I'm getting hot. I'm getting all worked up now. They start throwing more ingredients in, trying to literally copy what it was before, that same taste, that same texture, but just more ingredients, more chemicals and stuff, like lab made. That way it tastes the same, it replicates it perfectly, but we could sell it to them and make even more profit. Say we bump the price, we could keep the price the same, but now we're making profit either way because we don't have to spend so much money on that purity of the ingredients we were using before. We could use a lab-made stuff now or whatever, like chemicals and all that. It's crazy. That's probably what happened. Some point in time, the U.S. had that good food and everything. It didn't have all this. But eventually, as time goes on, there's a lot of things I used to eat as a kid as well. And then, like, eventually down the line, I was told, you can't eat it no more. Like, why? Always eat this. No, you can't eat it no more. And I had to just get used to it. Like, oh, the ingredients, you can't eat that or this or that. And even as a kid, I understood. I was like, okay, whatever. On to the next. But you can always find a healthier option of anything. Trust me. But it's crazy.
Flour for my cake, I can see which mill it was produced from.
Nice.
And all of these things taken together, the protection of foods that carry geographic and cultural heritage, as well as a food system which mandates transparency and traceability, means that when consumers head to their grocery store, they're not only better informed consumers, but they reinforce a system that benefits local businesses by fostering trust, enhancing product value, and enabling those businesses to meet increasing consumer demand for sustainable and ethical food sources without increasing the cost. So while Europe protected real food with real laws, the United States protected corporate innovation. At least for now. Every year, it seems like there is an ever-growing awareness of the link between diet and health, including obesity, allergies, and chronic diseases, prompting consumers to scrutinize food ingredients and nutritional value. Consumers are seeking foods with fewer artificial additives and preservatives, leading to the rise of clean label products and grocery stores that cater to whole, healthy foods. But sadly, this trend is one that comes at a cost that many people just simply cannot afford. Processed foods tend to have a lot more calories at a lower price. That's more bang for your buck than fresh food if you're on.
And that's a shame because you want to eat healthier, but you can't. You can't. There's this guy I watch, and he literally like stands in front of McDonald's in New York City, I guess different areas, and he literally says, "I will pay for your meal if you get something healthier." Right before they walk in the restaurant, right into McDonald's, you know? And then if they already bought the food, they give the food away to the homeless and they get something healthier. You know, but people, they end up enjoying the food, but you put them onto something new. But it's like, they literally tell you in the videos, the people are like, it's expensive though, you know? McDonald's is way cheaper than this. You know what I'm saying? Like this one meal right here costs about $30-something. McDonald's, I could probably get like 2-3 meals for that. Maybe 4 if I do it right. You know? You never know people's situation. You never know, especially living in the city. Woo! It's expensive, man. Never know, man.
The lower price.
And it's a shame.
That's more bang for your buck than fresh food if you're on a budget. One piece of British research in 2023, the Broken Plate Report by the Food Foundation, found that healthy food is usually twice as expensive as less healthy food on a per calorie basis. However, buying cheaper, less healthy food can prove to be a false economy, leading to health conditions, income losses, increased living costs, and medical expenses. One Harvard study found that unhealthy diets result in $50 billion in additional healthcare costs every year, with copays and rising insurance premiums inflating American household bills. There are some heritage foods which have been legally protected in the United States, but the few examples that do exist are contained to state-level laws. For example, in Tennessee, whiskey is a protected name. In Tennessee, the state law, House Bill 1084, defines Tennessee whiskey and mandates that it must be produced in Tennessee, meet the definition of bourbon, including a grain mixture with at least 51% corn, and undergo the Lincoln County process, a charcoal mellowing. It is also protected under agreements like NAFTA, now the USMCA, and in the EU, recognizing it as a distinctive product of the United States, specifically produced in Tennessee. Vidalia onions are another of these rare examples where an American crop is considered unique enough to deserve protected labeling. The Vidalia Onion Act of 1986 codified into state law that only onions grown in 20 specific counties in Georgia can legally use the name. And while I think that these are a great start, they remain specialties and not standards. The real tragedy, in my opinion, for Americans is that many just don't know what they're missing when they get a low-quality imitation of a truly good food.
Facts.
Now, in most cases, these legal imitations won't harm anyone physically, but they do affect the reputation and livelihood of the people who dedicate their lives to making these foods. Most can't compete with the cheap commercialized imitations, and those that do often have to sell at a price that makes them unattainable for the standard American family diet. And that's relevant for foods like Parmesan cheese and olive oil, but
$4.99. These prices are insane.
also something as simple as a tomato. Food for thought. But I would love to know what you think. Have you discovered a product that you thought was real, but wasn't? Let me know down in the comments.
Yup. Awesome chicken. We was about to put that thing on a pan and everything, and it just wasn't chicken. Mushed that thing up like sand. Yeah. We don't know what was wrong with it or anything, but we had to just go to a butcher and had to go get it. You know, we had to pay a little bit more. We don't know if it was real chicken or imitation chicken. You know, we always eat from that brand, but hey, I'm not going, you know, name drop the brand. but I would just say go to a butcher. Go to a butcher or like an Amish market, or fresh markets, or like whatever you have within your country, where you can go personally to a butcher and get your meats. Not really out the supermarkets. That's what I would say in the US. It's different in other countries. And politicians always preach the problems with healthcare. We have so many citizens in debt because of healthcare. The obesity problems in the US, the percentages are skyrocketing. But it all starts at the food. I'm not saying the legalized imitation foods and stuff that they have with all these chemicals and everything in the stores is legal. Yeah, they made it safe. They made it just about safe enough for us to, use. But oh, that's crazy, bro. Thinking about that really blows my mind, bro. Watching how everything has changed over the time. But back to what I was saying, I'm not specifically saying the foods within the stores and stuff on the shelves, is what is harming the people or causing such things and health problems. It's more so the fact that if people obviously notice these things and they want to turn towards a healthier route, they can't because it's too expensive. They have to literally budget. I'm telling people how I'm trying to get bigger, I'm trying to bulk, I'm trying to da-da-da-da. Oh, word, for real? It's expensive? Everybody telling me it's expensive. I can't even get a good luck with the journey or nothing. Oh, really? It's expensive? I'm like, I know. Thank you for reminding me, bro. And I'm getting worked up. I'm getting hot. And I'm keeping 100. It was expensive. It was very, 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 very expensive. Yeah. And then I kind of just figured, hey, if you just work out still and, move a little slower, ration meals, and, still have high deficit meals, but, small intake, you don't got to be not crazy like how I was doing before. You can still grow and get bigger, and I'm experiencing that. So, you could really spend your money wisely and everything. Go to certain places, and there's better options for certain foods and stuff. If you notice the ingredients look ridiculous, you're like, this is crazy. All of this for some olive oil? Oh, you better go somewhere else and get it, get a healthier option for real, because you are putting this in your system, and you are what you eat. You are what you eat, Everybody, please share your honest thoughts and opinions and experiences down below in the comment section if, you come from any countries, specifically from the UK. Yeah, let's say specifically from the UK, and you visited the US before and you notice, maybe some products that you have in your country versus here, it's a little different, ingredient-wise. It's completely different. And then, have you ever tried it? Did you buy it on purpose to try it and it was like, this do not taste the same? Because as an American, I have tried so many things out here. And then when I, traveled abroad and went to certain countries, I'm, this don't taste like this back home, It tastes unique. And I feel excited. I get like some type of like enjoyment, excitement and just joy knowing like, oh my gosh, this tastes good. But then it's like depressing knowing like I can no longer sip this pure drink. Whatever it is. It could just be a juice. I can't even sip this no more because when I go back to my country and drink this or that soda or whatever, it's not going to be the same. It's chemically bonded. You know what I'm saying? It got too much colorants and dyes and all that type of stuff that we don't need. I'm going to feel a huge difference when I go back home and I try it. It's like, oh, it's not the same. It's not. And I've ended up cutting a lot of things off for life. So please share your honest thoughts, opinions, and experiences down below in the comment section. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, turn all post notifications on, and follow my Twitch. And subscribe to all my other YouTube channels in the description down below. I don't think this video is completely done, but I think she was like finishing up.
You thought was real, but wasn't. Let me know down in the comment that you thought was real. I'd love to know what you think. Have you discovered a product that you...
I did answer that, yup. Bro, I would never ever again. Like, it was like, oh my gosh. Never ever again, man. I would go to a butcher, seriously. Let me know in the comments who you guys actually get your meats from. I know if you're in another country, you're going to say, I go to the supermarket. We cool. I know you good over there. All my Americans, where do you get your meats from? Because we the ones that really got this issue, and nobody else is agreeing with our food standards for a reason. So what do you think about it? Stay safe, everyone, and I hope to catch you all in the next reaction video. Original video link will be down below in the description.